Good evening, good evening, good evening. Jules Wyman here from juleswyman.com. I am just going to check that this has gone live. So if anybody has come on and I can't actually see you to say hello, because I'm now looking at another page, my Facebook page, to see and double check that this has gone live, which it has, and that's pretty awesome. So, good evening. How are you? I have absolutely no idea if any of you are going to join me this evening. Some of you asked me to do this live on a bank holiday Monday. It's glorious weather. So who knows? Who knows if anybody is going to join me live? So if you are watching this live as I get myself sorted and get back on the page so I can actually see, then do drop down and say hi, because I would love to know who's here, and give you a shout out on this glorious bank holiday Monday. And I also want to apologise that I've got my headphone in, which I don't normally do. Hey Debbie, how you doing? I've got some things going on. Hey Sean, how are you? I've got some things going on in the background. So yeah, sorry, the dishwasher just started to kick off about 5 minutes ago. So I do apologise for the wonderful background ambiance. So how are you? For those of you that are joining live, do drop down and say hi. As I was going to say, as Francis, then as Sean and Debs has done already. And I am just going to do what I would invite you to do, which is to share this video to, except I think I've done that incorrectly. Look at that, yes I have. See, it's never good to try and do two things at once, is it really? Trying to talk and share at the same time is just not happening. So there we go. Right, so I don't know whether you are aware, you'll be aware that it's Monday. You'll possibly be aware, if you're in the UK, that it's a bank holiday, which hopefully you will be also aware of the glorious sunshine, hence the rather slightly red warmness. I went out for an absolutely glorious walk earlier today and did a new route, which was stunning. And yeah, really lovely. So how are you doing? And I really genuinely would love to know. So there's a few things I want to ask and share with you this evening. The first thing really is to remind you that this evening is actually the last Monday of the month. I can't quite believe that we've come to the end, or coming toward the end of May already, but hey ho, here we are. And as ever on here, the last Monday of the month is always a open forum. So you can ask me any question you like. Now, I have actually got my page open. So if you want to ask me a question, and hey there, Comfort, how are you? I'm going to get on to something that you asked me to talk about. I'm going to do it in brief. So the fact that you're here, Comfort, will be brilliant, because you'll be able to tell me a bit more if you wish to. I was going to put something there. There we go. Ask your questions tonight. So this is about you. Yeah, asking me what it is that you want to know. What is it that you want to know? How best can I help you? Because this is an open forum this evening. And the whole point of that is that you put forward whatever may be going on for you. So I have, as I've said, Comfort asked me, emailed me a question a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. So I'm going to come at this at a few angles with you, for you, but please feel free to check in, and if I'm going down the wrong thread, then please do let me know. But ask your questions. What questions do you have? You know, I'm conscious that everybody is dealing with this situation in a very different way. Some people, is anyone else finding the sound very quiet? It might, do you know what? It's these headphones. for your. I've just remembered actually that when I've been working with clients one-on-one, they've commented on those headphones. So I do apologise. Hopefully that's better. Let me know if that's better. Yeah, so I'm just going to talk a bit louder, although it looks like the dishwasher has finished, but that does mean that the other appliance is still going. What was I going to say? Can't remember what I was going to say. That's loads better. Brilliant. Okay, cool. For those of you that are joining live, do drop down and say hi. Even if you haven't got a specific question that you want answered. I'm curious as to how people are dealing with the lockdown. Good evening, Caroline. I'm curious, and I recognise that obviously that's sort of shifted. It's not as restricted or restrictive, rather, as it was before. Good evening, Joanna. I have got your email. I will reply to it. But how are things with you? How are you? What questions do you think that I may be able to help you with, whether that is directly related to the situation that we're currently facing? I know for myself that I've had a bit of a weird one over the last couple of days, quite frankly. And yesterday, I did practically diddly squat all day, which is fairly unusual for me. It wasn't like I needed rest. But there was definitely something going on, which I haven't quite got to the bottom of yet. But I am genuinely curious as to how you are and how you're dealing with this. Are you loving it? I know that there are some people that are actually finding this far more fun than they thought, and they're finding that a challenge to speak out about it because, excuse me, they know for some people they're finding it a bit of a challenge. Hey, Sheila, how are things over there for you? And I know that there are some people, you know, I think you've got people at either extreme and then everyone in between, basically. You've got some people that really can't stand it, don't like it at all. You've got other people who are absolutely loving it. And then, as I say, everybody in between. Sheila's saying loving it, detoxing and de-stressing. Yeah, there's a lot of people that I know that are taking that route of detoxing, which is interesting. So I must admit that I'm cooking a lot more and enjoying the process of cooking, which I don't normally do. Learning new hobbies, another thing. I can't say I've had the time for learning new hobbies because I'm actually still working full time. But I know that's not the case for everybody. And that's what I mean, is that everyone's situation is different. So I'd love to know how you're getting on. And as I say, if you've got any specific questions that you think that I would be able to help you with this evening. So one of the things I'm going to put some of you may have already done this. Me too, my family is amazed. So I'm just putting a link in the comments section below. It's a very long link because I haven't shortened it. But basically, it's this one. I don't know if it will show up yet. So I have a survey that's going on at the moment, which I would very much welcome your thoughts on. It takes, on average, because SurveyMonkey lets me know, on average, people are literally taking 5 minutes to do it. So it's not an intense one. And a lot of it is just click. But I'd really appreciate if you could take the time to do that. I would be overjoyed. Quite frankly, that would be amazing. So I'm just checking where I'm at now, and then I'll know how many people have done it. It's anonymous. So it's not like I will be stalking you and checking it up on you there once you've done it, but it will help me with some of the things that are going through my mind, because I know that for me, having this space, and although work, I would say until this week, I've been full on, quite frankly, which has been joyous. But I think that it also is giving me space to be thinking, because I'm not doing as much as I would do as a weekend of going out and seeing friends and all that sort of thing. So I've got a lot of ideas popping, but it's where I take those ideas and what I do with them. So that's what I'm asking for, really, is your thoughts on that. Cheers. So I'm going to answer, as I say, kind of a question that Comfort put forward the other week. I'm assuming I'm calling you Comfort. And it was the reason I'm not sure if Shans, but I'm lucky enough to be working from home, which isn't too bad, but I'm missing my family terribly. But I know this is the same for everyone. Well, not everyone. Not everyone has great relationships with their families. So that doesn't always work for everybody, but I understand what you're saying, Shan, but it's great that you're able to work from home. So Comfort was asking about resistance and how resistance can be impacting, and especially if you are wanting to make change, if you're wanting to do things differently. So I'm going to, as I say, I'm going to do this in quite a broad answer. Comfort or Jackie is fine. I wanted to check. I didn't want to say it. Yeah. So there's a quote that I don't know who said the quote, but it's a quote that I actually printed off and had in my kitchen for quite a long time, which is that and I'm going to slightly get it wrong now, but it's something about the reason people find it hard to change is because they focus on, or the reason people resist change is because they focus on what they think they're going to lose rather than what they're going to gain. And I think that it's important when we're looking at resistance, especially when we're looking to put change in practice, is we have this dialogue, this inner dialogue, this thinking mind dialogue of, yeah, but I'm going to miss out on, or I won't be able to do, or I won't get, or I won't have. And this is one of the challenges, and it may be that we could go to the nth degree of you having a fairly destructive habit, such as, whether it might be substance abuse or gambling or things like that that are impacting on your life and potentially your families, etc., etc. However, there's a resistance to the change. People I know struggle with in relation to making change to where diet is concerned. Sheila said earlier about detoxing, and that can be a challenge, and food can be quite a significant challenge because we need food for our survival. So to make those changes can be have quite an impact on us. So we need to be very mindful of that. So when we've said, oh, yeah, but I'm determined, and I want to do this and I want to do that, and yet there's still a resistance that comes up, it's worth looking at, well, what do I think I'm resisting? Rather than keep focusing on, yeah, but I've got the things in place, and I've got the exercise routine, and I've got all the gear, and I've got the diet books, or I know about health, or I know about this. Rather than focusing on that side of things, is to start looking at, well, what am I resisting? What's the resistance to? What am I afraid that I won't be able to do, or I'm going to get wrong, or that I think is impossible? What is that resistance? And for me, what's important then to be thinking about is, or rather to be looking for and listening for, is that dialogue. What's going on? What's being said? Jackie, let me know if this is making sense, by the way. So that would be my first port of call, is to get clarity around that. What is that? What actually is the story of that resistance? What is happening there? And then from there, I would also then be looking at, well, what are the secondary gains as well as the initial gains? But what are the secondary gains that I have for keeping this habit, for example, in place? And very often people don't think that there is a secondary gain, but there is. There's usually more than one as well. So, for example, I know that with me, I kept a lot of my weight on. This is in the first time when I was a lot bigger. I would think I was about 13 and a half, 14 stone, something like that. For those of you who don't work in stone, I'm sorry, you'll have to work it out in how many pounds that is. My maths isn't quick enough for me to be able to do that. But basically, I know that one of the things that I did that, or one of the reasons that I did that, was because the secondary gain was it kept people at a distance. It created quite literally another layer to keep people away from me. So I would only let people into a certain degree, but I hadn't realised that until I lost weight, and then I noticed what came up for me, which was lots of fear around what's going to happen now and all that sort of thing. So we need to be very mindful of what the resistance is, but then what the secondary gains are as well. So the other thing to be thinking around with resistance, and as I say, I'm not, because it was more the word and not really a bigger thing, I'm not sure if I'm hitting the right mark here, Jackie. But when it comes to resistance, for me, it is about listening to, well, what do I think is going to happen on the other side of it? And therefore, what might be coming up for me? What stories might be coming up for me? What we don't think of so much is that this resistance is helping keep something in place. So what is it looking to keep in place? Jackie said spot on, brilliant. So what is it that's keeping it in place? So it's I think it's a complex conversation, but I wanted to at least give you some nuggets to start looking at, so that you can get clear on what the narrative as to what is going on, basically. And I can relate to the resistance of so many things that it is about the thinking mind loves that status quo even. So wants to keep things in a way that it knows it wants to keep things in a perceived control manner. And so therefore it, yeah, exactly that. So know all the stuff, but then don't act on it. So must be a payoff to staying this way. Absolutely spot on, Jackie. That to me is about then looking at, okay, well, what's the payoff in keeping things this way? It might be worth taking the time to explore that more than anything else. I'm hoping that makes sense and is helpful. Good evening, Rob. Evening, Jules. What are you doing working on a bank holiday Monday? Have the day off? Well, I asked last week, which I don't think you were here last week. I asked last week and people requested it. And as I was here and wasn't going to be away anywhere, I would rather be here and spending half an hour with you and giving you something that could hopefully be of value and help you in some way, shape or form. So the reason that this rather long, I'm hoping it's showing up as a link in the comments box. I can't see the comments box. So Jackie, if you need more, then give me some more information. But the reason I'm putting this link up here is because that's the point of the survey, actually, is to see more about how best I can help you, how best I can serve you. Because it's like when I was thinking about what it is that might be of value, I genuinely don't know how some people are being with this situation. So is there something else there? And I'm going to come into a second question that I've been asked, which sort of links in, I think, potentially. But one of the things I've just remembered, and this was one of the things that was inspired by you, Rob, as well as a couple of other people that said about me saying about donating. I can't see on Facebook that I can directly ask for it without it being charity related. So I've put my PayPal address below. It's not obligatory that if anybody wants to donate, then they can do. But I do these for, I was going to say my pleasure, but Beckhole Waterfall at Goathland. Oh, nice, beautiful area. Yeah, I was going to say I do them for my pleasure, but I don't know about it's my pleasure, but it's something that it's not even that I feel obligated. It's really weird. It's like I want to say it's that it's duty bound. It feels important to be here and do these. So if you want to donate, then that's where you can. But if not, then you obviously please don't. You don't have to. For those of you that are just joining live, it's the last Monday of the month, and therefore if you have a question that you want answered, that you think I might be able to give you some resources, thoughts, questions, insights, whatever it is, then feel free to put your question down there in the comments box even, and also do say hi. And for those of you that are watching on the recording, again, please do say hi, and also put your questions down, because whilst I may not be able to answer them live because you'll be watching them on the recording, I do pocket them for the next open forum. So or if they're a big enough topic, then I might make them into a topic for one of the other nights. Survey link and PayPal come up very small on your screen. Not sure if people can read or click on link. So the survey link hopefully is also in the comments box. So hopefully you should be able to see it there, Jackie. Let me just have a look and see how that's showing up on there. Is it letting me see it on there? Or is it going to show me something else? I'm going to leave that to you guys, because it's suddenly gone very slow on that side, and I don't want to waste any of our time. Okay, so so something else that I've been asked about a lot, both on here and in other conversations that I've had with people, is around control, and how control may be causing, that's kind of annoying me now, so I'm going to take those off, how control can be causing a challenge for people. And what a lot of people refer to themselves as control freaks. Now, I've said this a number of times on here that I don't believe in that term anymore, because there are too many people that have a challenge with control. So I don't believe that they're control freaks. I believe that they're control addicts. And I think that the importance of looking at it from the addiction side is that then we can recognize, in a similar sense to the resistance conversation that we've just had, that that actually we can start to see that it's not just, oh, it's a behavior that I do, I'm a control freak, end of, full stop. It's recognizing that there's an addiction there, there's a behavior, there's a driver, there's something else that's going on that maybe we need to look at, and start looking at the implications that it has on us as well as other people as well. So this came up as a loop around question around, yeah, but if I don't do it, then who will? And it was in relation to a family and a family environment, and about how this particular person felt the need to, well, they had to do the stuff because other people wouldn't do it otherwise. And that was in relation to both the partner, but also the children in the house as well. And so the conversation, and this is something I just thought it would be of value, let me know if it is or it isn't, to share with you that one of the things that we got into questioning around was this person was saying about, well, their question actually was, how can I let go of control, or how can I stop being so controlling or have the need for control? And it's a little bit like, it's alike with a lot of things. So like if you like, Sheila, and you're detoxing, for example, you know, you're going to be cutting things out of your diet in that instance, or you may be doing a social media detox where you don't go on social media for a week, or I've spoken on here before about I did a TV detox where I didn't interact with any TV for a week, and ate a lot less food, which was a very good insight. Whenever we're doing that kind of thing, it's about taking that thing out of our life, whatever it is,
to then see what happens. And we can do the same where control is concerned. So if you think you are somebody who does controlling behaviors, that it's worth looking at maybe 1 or 2 areas where you know you do that and taking a step back. So I'm speaking as, if we were in one of those sort of like, rather than an AA meeting, it would be a CA meeting, wouldn't it? I'm a Control Addicts Anonymous, or CAA. It is something that I know myself, and it shows up in multiple ways. And over the years, I just set myself these challenges so I can step back from it and just go bit by bit. Okay, well, I'm going to have awareness as best as I can of where and when I'm looking to control situations, and step back and just notice, just see what happens when I step back. When I do that, what then happens for me? Not necessarily the outcome here, but what happens for me. So this particular person, when we were talking about how can you not be a control addict and step away from that addiction, was looking at all the different things that they do. And this was really in relation to the family dynamic, and was just taking a step back. Because I think a lot of the time when people say, well, if I don't do it, no one will do it, I think there's a question there whether the thing needs to be done then. If no one else is doing it, does it actually need to be done? Because there might be a value of looking for the fact that it might not need to be done at all, and that you're doing it for the sake of doing it. And also there's an aspect around, if I don't do it, they won't do it. And it's like, is it that they won't do it? Or is it they won't do it to the way that you want to do it, or the expectation that you have? And whenever we have any expectations, that's where disappointment can occur, because we have this expectation of, up here. And even if it's like there, well, we're disappointed it didn't meet our expectations. But when you drop expectations in this instance, we drop those expectations, then you can allow the space for how, if somebody else does it in a different way, for that to emerge. And rather than you trying to control it and no, it's meant to be like this, that actually you just let it be as it is, rather than trying to manipulate it or control it. So if you know you are somebody who has challenges where control is concerned, and a lot of people don't have an awareness of the ways in which, because it's multi-layered, it's not just about, yes, again, you can have that on the extremes. If you've got the people who, everything needs to be lined up, and they've got everything needs to be cleaned, and they've got the OCD end of it, but then you've got all the other things all the way through as well, and those other different spectrum viewpoints. So we're all going to sit somewhere along there. And there was a great book, I don't think I've got the book anymore, When Being in Control Gets Out of Control. I can't remember who wrote it. I remember it's a black cover with a big red cross on the front. I'm pretty sure it was called When Being in Control Gets Out of Control. And in there, if you want to do, if you're not sure, it's got a great questionnaire that you can go through at the beginning to just see whether it is something for you. I wouldn't be surprised, Jackie. I wouldn't be surprised. So it will give you an opportunity then to see whether there's a need of control within your life in some way, shape or form. I think we all do it, because the thinking mind is all about control. So I think we all do it. I think it just shows up in different ways for different people. Some people it's very obvious. For some people it's very subtle. So bear that in mind when you're looking through your behaviors, and recognize that these behaviors aren't who you are. They are things that you do. So therefore, the more you can separate yourself from that, the more you'll get the chance, linking this back into the conversation about resistance, you can kind of start to step away more about this is why I'm doing it, but I'm doing it for this reason, or it's happening for this reason, but actually you start to see it from another perspective. Does that make sense? So they were the two things, and there's obviously not any other questions so far anyway that have come in. I'm very conscious that I've got a little white bit there from my sunglasses earlier when I was in the garden reading. I just spotted that earlier. I was like, oh, little red nose. So does that help? Does that give you an indication of what you can do in relation to if you're resisting change, or if change is a challenge? Does that help you if you are looking at control and wanting to let go of being in control? Let me know, because being human is complex, and it's complicated. The way the thinking mind works is complicated. And we have, I think it was Socrates or Aristotle that said, life is simple. We just overcomplicate it. And I think that's very true. And I think the complexity of the thinking mind can make it more of a challenge. So the more you can see what's going on, the more that's going to give you an opportunity to start to step back from it and not taking it as personal, and seeing it as a behavior will help you on that journey as well. So for Jackie, at least for Jackie, maybe this was just for you, Jackie. No one else was interested. This was just a conversation between you and I. That it's you said yes for me, and I love the fact that you've said that you feel you will journal on this. For people who don't journal, I wouldn't say that I'm an avid journaler, but I am somebody who dips in occasionally and journals. So it's a great way of just getting your thought processes out and seeing it on paper, and that's the first time your brain's going to have seen it. You know, we think because we think something, we've heard it. Well, we haven't. And we think because we've maybe get images in our heads, or because we're listening to those thoughts, or maybe seeing words, that we've seen it, and actually we haven't. So we need to get things out. When you get it out on paper, it makes it much easier to be able to look at what's going on. I hope it's been useful for others. You're welcome, Jackie. You're welcome. I am pretty sure that it will have been. I know that a lot of people listen to this whilst they're doing other things as well. Sean says, I think I will start a journal even, especially in these difficult times. I think it's a great process. You know, if you've got the time to do it, there's a fabulous book. I'm going to see if it's right behind me. It is. This was my introduction into, it's a very old book now, but it's a great book. This was my introduction into journaling, and she calls them morning papers in here, and there's loads and loads of different exercises. I think it's just realised it's been signed in the front. I didn't realise that. Yeah, it's a really great book to help you get journaling and get some ideas. But, you know, it doesn't always have to be about writing. Sometimes it's just about getting something out and giving yourself that space. But if you've got the opportunity to do it, whether you do it at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, it can have some great benefits, Sian. So I'd give it a go. What have you got to lose? Nothing, really. Bit of your time. Have you been lending this around, Jackie? It's a great book. I don't lend my books that often. I tend to either give them away or keep hold of them. Maybe that's some resistance that I need to look into. I am very good at decluttering though. So I hope you have found that of value. Please do share the videos if you have. Remember to like the page. And we're over 2,000 people now, which is great. And what else was I going to say? Yes, and if you've got the time, take 5 minutes. Please go and do that survey for me. It would be amazing. I would be very grateful to have that conversation with you. Have you do the survey even. It's because I just read conversation up there. So have a wonderful rest of Bank Holiday Monday if you're in the UK. If you're not in the UK, then enjoy wherever you are the rest of your day. And I look forward to catching up with you soon. Oh, there's some comments at the end there. What's that say? I can't see it. I've kept one in the past and was helpful. Thanks again, for your live chats. You are very welcome, Sean. I look forward to catching up with you again next week. Take care, everyone. Bye now.